Happy New Year to all of you. I know it's the middle of the month. It's amazing how time flies. This is Joe Garcia hosting this incredible webinar just outside of Toronto, Canada. I know we've got people from Asia and Europe and all across North America. I appreciate you jumping on here today. As usual, I would highly recommend you take a pen and a paper out. This is going to be I believe one of my best webinar trainings. So I'm sending lots of incredible energy to all of you. Just a reminder also, for those of you who don't know, we've got an GoToWebinar is an incredible app. You can go to either you're on Apple, or if you have a Samsung phone, you can just go and get to the App Center, download the GoToWebinar app, and you can actually watch the webinar on your iPhone or on your cell phone, even when you're traveling. So it's another great opportunity to watch and listen when you're out and about. This training will be taped, so it'll be up on Steam Team probably by Monday. Again, a reminder, get a pen and paper out. I'm going to go be flying through this webinar. And this is really for people that are serious about earning a six-figure income in NH2 Global. Or if you're not in NH2 Global, you're in the network marketing industry, that is great. This will apply to you also. So for those of you who haven't seen my new website, I'm still working on it. You can go to yjoegarcia.com. In the blog section, there's some great tips, a lot of six-figure income tips that you can get into. So I'd appreciate your feedback with the site in terms of your comments, Facebook comments, et cetera, et cetera. So like all things in life, it really comes down to your why. Back in my early 20s, I was mentored by a couple of million-dollar earners when I was managing a racquetball club, a squash club. And one of the things that I recognized and I was shared to back then was this philosophy: what you focus on is what you get in life. And you got to write down your goals. You've got to know where you're going, because if you're not, other people will decide what you want. And will decide for them where your direction of your life is. And we've got an incredible opportunity as human beings to manifest anything that we want in our life. So it's real important, before we get into the business plan here, that you really understand that what you focus on is what you get in life. And it's real important to really come down in detail. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Andreas Papakostas on our first 90 days on steamteam.ca. You can go there, download the Getting Started guide. He spends a lot of time on why you must determine your why in life. And it has to be down in detail. I'll share with you, a lot of you may have heard my story, but I had a defining moment in my life prior to getting involved in network marketing. And I was managing this health and racket club, made the owners millions. It was a Christmas time. One of the owners came to me and told me that the club was being sold. The next day, the club was sold. And I thought, because I made these guys millions of dollars, that they would give me a percentage of their profits. No, none of that happened. That changed my life, because I understood that I would never have control over my life if I worked for someone else. Number two, I also understood I'd never become wealthy if I had someone else controlling my life, if I was working with someone else. It was a defining moment. Then at that moment, can you believe this? I was in my mid-20s, a brand new father, newly married, and I decided that I would never work for someone else again. 20 plus years later, I've never worked for someone else again. And I'll tell you why. Is I went home and I started writing down exactly what I wanted my life to look like 10 and 20 years from that moment. And it was so detailed, is I really got my why so detailed that I could taste it, I could see it, I could feel it. Just a few weeks after that, a gentleman, I went into my local library. I'm doing some, this is pre-internet, and I was doing some research because I knew I needed to get involved in the business. And a gentleman walked up to me and introduced me to network marketing. All these years later, I recognized that day when I wrote down exactly what I wanted in life, and I continued to focus on that on a daily basis. Was hungry, massive hungry for my success. 2 weeks later, I'm in this library, and a gentleman happened to just in the middle of the day introduce me to network marketing. It was what I feel I created that with my massive hunger and desire for what I wanted in life. I was eventually went to this seminar. I'm sitting in the back of the room. The likes of Mr. Dan Cato was speaking, and within a couple of minutes, I had one of these born again Christian moments where my whole body was on fire. I knew absolutely, it was like God was talking to me right then and there, that this is the vehicle for you, Joe. This is what you've been looking for. And ladies and gentlemen, why I made this happen, why these circumstances had this happen in my life is because I knew what I wanted. I wrote it down. I prayed about it. I thought about it. I visualized about it. It was all about my goal. So again, I told you I wasn't going to spend too much time on this. I got to reiterate here today, I'm happy that we have a number of people here, not just on the webinar, but on their phones watching this, and there'll be thousands of people in the future. Get down to your why. It needs to be very specific. And if that becomes your major desire in life, it is law. You have to get it. Everything that I've achieved in my life happened because of I determined what my why was. And I'm constantly building that dream, constantly praying about it, constantly focusing on it. Distractions come into my life, they go away from my life. Drama rarely comes into my life because I'm so focused on my life. I consciously create my circumstances in my life. That's a great segue into the book I'm reading now for the 25th time, Consciously Creating Circumstances. You can get it on Steam Team under Business Mastery Personal Development. It's a great book. I would highly recommend that you pick it up and read it over and over again. It has wisdom that will blow you away. And the majority of my why are my great, beautiful kids, Kyle and Vanessa. This is one of my favorite pictures. One of on my list before they were born, actually Kyle was just born, was where I wanted to take my children and my wife and my family around the world, the places I wanted. And Paris was on that list, and we were able to go, and this is the Palace of Versailles in France, about an hour from Paris. An incredible palace, incredible place to visit, and this, I visualized that many years before because I was so focused. So as a parent, when I became a parent, when I became a father, it was the best thing for my wife because it made me hungry. It made me work. It made me go out there and believe in myself because I wanted the best for these two kids. So let's talk about the business plan. Malcolm Gladwell is actually a Canadian author, wrote a book, Tipping Point. It's a best-selling book, another great business book. But for those of you who haven't read it, he actually studied successful people in business, in sports, and it wasn't based on what they were doing. It wasn't based on their skill sets, et cetera, et cetera. He wanted to find a common denominator why these people became successful. The major common denominator that he found, what every person that he studied Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, professional athletes, that they took a minimum of 10,000 hours in their practice, in their field, to become successful. Unfortunately, here in network marketing, we have a lot of people that come into the business. They want to earn six figures, they want to earn seven figures, but they do not put the time in to be successful. I was watching something the other day about an actor. I can't remember his name right now, who was going for this very important role in his life. Right, so he spent the last year working out 2 hours a day, every single day. Went on a meal plan to get his body in shape for this role. This is the kind of thing that you need to understand if you want to develop a six-figure income in NH2 Global in your network marketing business. You need to make it a priority, but you also need to spend the time and the work that is involved to get the results. Malcolm Gladwell, great book, read it, minimum of 10,000 hours. However, here in network marketing, especially with the NH2 Global Comp Plan, I have seen, I spent a week in Hawaii, and we had a lot of new ambassadors, and I would just continue to shake my head. How did that person make it? I'm still surprised. And many of them did not have the 10,000 hours, right? That's the great part of our business, where we can help all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. But today I want to talk to you about how it will guarantee you a six-figure income, and what my mindset was going into this industry, and allowed me to earn not just six figures a year, but seven figures a year. So that 10,000 hour rule, and you need to make it a priority. It's just like an athlete that's working out every single day, because they need to keep up there as a professional athlete. You don't do that, for those of you who are into hockey, Jaromir Jagr, 43 years old, still playing hockey, still one of the best players. He's from the Czech Republic, and the guy's working out. Not only after the hockey game, at 40, and he's playing against kids that are half his age. He's on that bike for an hour after playing a couple hour hockey, 3 periods of hockey, because he knows to keep at that level, he needs to put the time in. And this is what I want all of you to understand. You need to put the time into working on yourself, working on your skill sets. I'm going to go into that a little later, to enable you to show the universe, show whatever your beliefs are, show God that you are serious about reaching your goals. You cannot just put down your why down there and then don't do anything. The universe will not reward you. The reason why you do this is because this is a business. It's not a hobby. Hobbies don't make you money. The reason why you also do a business plan, because it keeps you on track. So I'm constantly looking at what I'm doing every day and setting up the success habits, and seeing what I can do more to become more, to get more, to help people more. This gives you an opportunity to measure your activity that you need to earn X amount of dollars, and I'll go into that. It's also, there's a financial planning part of our business, and one of the challenges that we have, in the U.S., they had a Powerball. Many Canadians were going down to the U.S. To buy into this lottery. It was 1.5 million. And I was watching online on YouTube last night on a documentary where almost 80% of lottery winners, and depending who you read or watch, between 80 and 90 lose their money and are worse off 5 years within the time that they they win the lottery. So in NH2 Global and network marketing, we have a lot of people that get to six figures, get to seven figures, but what do they do with their money? So I'm going to go cover that a little bit. And so what I've done for my life is I got to a lifestyle that I was comfortable with. Yes, I bought in the cars, I bought some toys, but I realized as I got older, those things weren't important to me, right? So I got to a lifestyle that I was happy with, that my family was taken care of, and I let my money work for itself. I treated my money with respect. I showed the universe I treated it with respect. I gave it away, a lot of it, because of what you sow is what you reap. But it was all part of a plan that I have. So for those of you who get into that area and need some advice on what you need to do, come to me and I'll be able to help you, show you what my plan, and maybe in the future I'll do a webinar on financial planning. A business plan also speaks the truth. You got to always, the other day, I had someone reach out to me in Facebook as a Facebook friend. He's been in network marketing for 4 years. He called me up, asked me if I could spend 10 minutes with him, and he wanted to know why he was not successful in his business. And the first question I asked him is, how many people have you connected with and showed your business and your product in the last year? And he had no idea. So I said, well, give me an estimate. And he had told me, Joe, in the last year, probably 20 people. Okay. And I said, what about the previous year? Well, maybe a little bit more than that. Right. And I had to go back to tell him, if you had a restaurant and you had 20 new people come into your restaurant that year, do you think you'll still be in business? And he says, Joe, of course not. And I told him, why do you think this business is different? So in his mind, he thought he was doing a lot to succeed in his business, but he wasn't doing anything, not even coming close to reaching his goals in the business. It was a reality check. So a business plan speaks the truth. Then it comes to your emotional IQ. We don't talk about this as much, but what emotional IQ is managing your emotions. It's very easy to get excited when your business is rocking. You sponsor, it's the old saying is, you sponsor new gold or platinum and NHT, all uh, all your challenges go away that day, right? Because you're now in the mindset, wow, my business is growing, my business is growing. One of the challenges in our business as leaders, as you grow into leadership, is a great part of our business are people. The worst part are people. It's just the way it is. And you got to manage your emotions on a daily basis. We're dealing with people. There's lots of, you can imagine, as someone like myself over the years, the bigger your business, the bigger the challenges. And you've got to get into a situation where you're not going in that yo-yo effect. You got to learn and develop this part of yourself. It's just like a muscle. You can't get angry. You can't go out and let your emotions get out of control because someone is angry. You as a leader, you've got to understand that this part of yourself is critical for you to build any big business, not just in network marketing. The thing that Dan had shared with me years ago, he says, Joe, the size of your check will, the bigger your check goes, the more challenges you're going to have. And how you deal with those challenges will determine how bigger your check gets. So it's important to build this muscle on your end and have a system to do that. I'm going to go into personal development in a second, but I have a system every day that I do myself to manage my emotions. Rarely you'll see me ever angry, because I worked on that part of myself. My siblings will tell you that as a kid, I had a really bad temper, and they'll how siblings are. But I was able to learn how to develop an emotional IQ. You won't see me way too excited. You'll never see me way too down. I am that tortoise that understands that success is simple disciplines over time. This too shall pass, right? So when you're in a crisis situation, for example, globally right now, there is, when it comes to stocks and the stock market and currencies, it's crazy what's going on right now. Lots of negativity in the business world because of what's happening with the economy. And, you're looking at third world countries or developing countries where their currencies have lost 60, 70%, right? So you can allow those things that to hurt you. One of the things, if you don't have control with those stuff, why worry about it? All you can control is what you think about and what you focus on. And when you're dealing with people, you've got to really, again, I'm going to reiterate, build your emotional IQ. For those of you who are involved in network marketing for a while, okay, you starting to understand that, but I still see leaders that get in fights with their leadership and all the sweat the small stuff, and they have all this drama that's going in, and because they don't understand this part, they have to understand that your emotional way that you deal with yourself will determine your long-term success in the business. So I'll give you some strategy, strategies that I have used over the years, and I do this every day. Okay, and I've shared this many, many times, almost every webinar training that I do. First thing I do, I always visualize my goals every single day. I do it before I fall asleep. I do it when I wake up in the morning. I'm always moving my body. I'm exercising constantly, right? I'm saying affirmation. Every time I go past the mirror, I say, Joe, damn, you're a good looking guy. No, I'm just kidding. I say, well, I'm always saying my affirmations. I'm so happy and grateful, every time before I go on to a webinar or get on a call, I'm always sending so much great energy to the people that I'm going to be talking to. This is what I'm constantly doing. I was on a call with one of our upcoming leaders in Ireland yesterday into Mexico, and he kind of shared with me a little bit about her background, and I spent 5 minutes prior to getting on that call really sending a lot of credible energy away. Within 5 to 10 minutes, I knew that she was picking it up. And that's, I'll get into more detail another time, but it's real important to understand that what you give out emotionally is going to come to you tenfold. So this is not something that all of us are really good at doing. What I've done is I've worked on it all day long, every single day, right? So those are the things that I do daily to manage my emotions. If a negative comes my way, I feel it's affecting me because your internal guidance system, whether you're a Christian or Muslim or whatever you want, is we all know that everyone's connected in this world. We're connected. Right inside our hearts, there is an internal guidance system that's connected to the universe, which is universal thought. So if you're focused on what you don't want in life, you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel not too good. So you got to listen to your internal guidance system. So when that is happening to me, I immediately understand that I need to switch it because I'm focused on the wrong thing. I'm going to probably turn on some music. I'm going to put up on I'll put a great video on with some really piped up energy. I'll do something. I'll walk away. I'll go for a quick walk. I'm going to get my mindset in the right mindset. I'm managing my emotional muscle. Well, so now let's talk about what you need to do to reach a 10,000 a month income. So I've talked about now your emotional IQ. So let's talk about the skill sets that you need to develop to become a six-figure income earner. So obviously we talked about the goal, and then I'm going to talk. So we get this goal, $10,000 a month. What activity do you need to reach this goal? So there's 5 things that we do in this business. We show the product. Okay, so we need to develop skill sets to do that. And there's thousands of ways to show the product. We show the business. Okay, and there's thousands of ways that we can show the business. And guaranteed, guys, you do this more than 100 times, you're going to be a pro in showing the product and showing the business. You will figure it out yourself. No book, no CD program, no training will teach you as more as than your experience. You do that over and over and over again. The third thing we do, okay, so keep in mind we consume the product. It's critical that we're consuming. You don't have to consume all the product. Get your best products and consume them every day. Fourth thing we do is that we personally develop. We work on ourselves every single day. Not every other day, not once a week. We work on ourselves every single day. And then the fifth thing we do is that we teach all those four things. That's what makes us money. So everything that I'm talking about here today is based on the activity that you need to reach your goal. So what you want to do is that we have a tracking sheet on Steam Team that you can use under Business Mastery and Tools with regards to tracking your activity. So what you want to do is you have your goal. Now you got to have your daily activity, your weekly activity, and your monthly activity. Now I'll give you a formula that I used in the past that helps me maintain that, right? So and it's easy to do on your planner, or you take that activity sheet that we have in Steam Team. And what you do is every time you show the business, you put a point for yourself. Every time you show the product, there's a point for yourself. Every time you're teaching someone to do those things, you put a point for yourself, right? So now you're gauging every day, and you're seeing that you're actually moving towards your goal. Here's what happens with most network marketers is they're doing everything else. They're calling their upline, talking about stuff that's not have to do with the business or their downline. They're working on their websites. They're doing all this stuff that's not making them money, right? So they think they're busy in their mind, but they're really not moving towards their goal. So now you have to also have a personal development plan. I shared in Dan and I's webinar 2 weeks ago on having your best year ever in 2016 is look at what you did in 2015 and just do a little bit more. Just do a little bit more. If you're reading every day, half an hour a day, or watching a great personal development movie, whatever it is, do it 45 minutes a day. If you need some content, just get back to me and I will, suggest you what you should be focused on. With me, what I do in personal development, and this is something that, since from 1993 to 2002, I was the biggest personal development junkie. You name me the book, I've read it, And I found about 2000, year 2000, 2001, I started realizing that when I picked up the next book, started recognizing that to me, I started thinking, wow, I've read this before. I was kind of getting blasé about reading more and more books, right? Because typically in the self-help field, they're all around the same topic, helping you improve as a person. So then what I started deciding to do is that stuff that really resonated with me, like the science of getting rich, Bob Proctor stuff, Born Rich, Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks, Law of Attraction. I started focusing on those programs only and those books only. So, I read the odd book, but I started focusing and studying that material. When I changed my personal development plan, my income grew tenfold because now I was developing that that DNA of success that I really needed in that area. So when you find something that is resonates with you, that gets you excited, that wow, this is something, your internal guidance system will tell you this is something that you need to read, right? Go with that gut. Don't say, if Joe Garcia tells you to read it, yes. But if you have something that telling you that you got to go read it, do it. I'll share with you a little story. Many, many years ago, I think it was in 1998, turned on Larry King Live, which was on CNN back then. He had this guest who was a psychic, and I, never listen to the news or watch the news before I fall asleep. But this was an interesting uh, topic that she was talking about, and she was promoting her book, right? And something inside me that moment told me, Joe, you got to go and pick up that book. I don't know what it was. You got to go pick up the book. Unfortunately, I did not go with my gut feeling. So a few years later, my daughter was having swimming lessons, had some time to kill. In that rec center, there was a library. I walked into the library, and right in front of me was that book. Right in front of me was that book. And I took it out, right? And I remembered my gut feeling that I needed to pick up. So ever since then, I'm constantly going with my gut feeling, my internal guidance system. One of the things I've recognized with my spiritual growth is when you focus on what you really want, it's amazing how the universe will plant the great seeds in you, will put it on your lap, will speak to you inside you, and you have to go with that. And every single time it works, guys. It's real important to listen to that part of yourself. Please believe me, when you work on yourself and you develop yourself, raise your conscious level, and you focus and you have that kind of plan that I just shared with you, you will. It's amazing what happens with your life. Guaranteed. You get to that next level, little synchronicities start to happen. Great things happen. I'll share with you another story based on this. After for 3 years listening to Bob Proctor, Born Rich, every single day, I could do that seminar in my head, for a whole weekend, right? And there's a part of that seminar where he talks about what you focus on is what you get. Things start to materialize in your life based on how much time you focus on, right? So I had this house that I had up for sale, put a lot of money into it. It was, from the kitchen to the washrooms. I was going to get a great profit when it sold and put it up for sale. And right away, the gentleman, my sales friend, signed a contract. And he developed leukemia. Unfortunately, he passed away. And his wife came on board who had no experience. And I was kind of getting frustrated with her for 5 months. I did not get one offer. So she brought the specialist in, and the specialist came in and said, Joel, you have to tear out this carpet, remove this. And it was just getting into major cluster, right? And I didn't want to do that, to be honest with you. So I went back and said, Joel, you got to practice what you preach. I'll go back and do the things that I needed to do to get this house sold. So basically what I did, guys, is at that time I was in Florida. I drove down to Florida, and I was coming back with my family. And I started stating an affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful that that the house is sold. Thank you, God. And I said that affirmation 10 times an hour, every single hour. And then at the end of the 10 times, I visualized that I'd sold this house, that I'd drive up to the house, and on the front lawn would be a sold sign. Guys, I got back the next day. The real estate agent called me, and I thought she was calling me because, Joe, you got to take out the carpet and this and that. And she called me saying, you got a first offer. And I sold that house that day. First offer with the money I wanted, not having one offer in 5 months. It was incredible. So it was just like yet another born again Christian moment. My whole body was on fire. I recognized at my conscious level at that time that I could manifest things even faster than I thought was possible. These things are not coincidence. Again, that would never have happened if I didn't get to that personal development level, if I did not have a plan. So now you have to look at the skill sets. Great part of this business is understanding. Go with your sponsor and find out what you feel is the best things that you bring to the table. What are your skill sets? Are you good in marketing? Are you good on the internet? Are you good with building relationships? Start putting all those skill sets down. Okay, the greatest skill sets that you have to develop here is you have to have that emotional IQ and you've got to become a people person. You have to connect with people. The third and the biggest one that works with those two is you got to learn how to recruit and prospect. If you don't know how to recruit and prospect, you're going to have a difficult time making money in this business. And recruiting, prospecting is all about sales, how to sell yourself, how to connect with people, how to attract people into your business. That's the greatest skill set. And this is the most difficult skill set that people have in the business. And I'll tell you why is their belief in themselves, their self-esteem, and this is where we have to be honest, is at a level where you don't are not able to go out there confidently and attract the right people that you need to grow your business in the NHT Global business. So write down all the skill sets that you feel you're really good at doing, and write down the skill sets that you feel that you need to work on. That is critical in developing this plan. So now you take the skill sets that you're not good at doing right now that you need to develop. You work with your sponsor, your upline leader, and they will help you to put in some success disciplines that will enable you to grow that part of the business, grow that part of yourself. So one of the things that I did when I got started in network marketing is I recognized that I needed to learn how to recruit. And I knew that in order to learn how to recruit, that the best way to do that was not to read it from a book, not to go to a training, but just to go and do it. I didn't care. I just went out and did it. I actually went door to door one day in the middle of winter, knocking on doors, just recruiting people because I felt that was a way for me to get outside my comfort zone. I just did the numbers and I just figured it out myself. Along the way, I built myself personally, I built my self-esteem, but I just did the numbers. And I'll go into that in the next slide. So now, the financial investment plan results. So when we get to six-figure income, what you want to do is you want to take a percentage of that income, you give it away. 5 to 10%, you start helping people with it. Give it out to charities. My great friend Garth Wright, he's the best at this. He's got such an incredible heart, and he doesn't promote that, but he goes out, every year he goes to orphanages in Ukraine, and he just spends a lot of time with his church. That's a great example, not just with money, guys, is going out and using yourself as that conduit, to your God, to your internal guidance system, to go out and share what's good in this earth, right? That's even more important a lot of times than money. But just with your financial investment plan, then go to a level where you're comfortable with in your life, and then invest the rest. So if you, again, I'm going to probably do a webinar on this here later on this year on how to do a proper financial investment plan, save on your taxes, and what you need to do as a top earner. Because I know all of you are thinking, yes, I'm already a top earner. That's where success starts. So let's talk about my formula for success. So I've gone over many success disciplines, right, that I do every single day. And I want to reiterate how important it is to implement those things in your life. Very critical for you to build the momentum to get to a six-figure income in here. So in an NHA comp plan, you're going to need at least 300 to 500 active distributors. Okay. Based on our comp plan, you got to build a right side and you got to build the left side. You need to have at least 3 or 4 great leaders on one leg and at least 2 to 3 great leaders on the other leg to duplicate what I'm sharing with you right now. So how do you find and attract the leaders? You do that, number one, by becoming a leader already, by visualizing that you are already a leader. That was one of the goals, one of the great skill sets I developed. When I was a newbie in this industry, 25 years old, I walked like I was already successful. Now, I actually went out and bought uh, $1,000 suits at the time that I couldn't afford just so I could feel that success already. I walked the talk. I built that part of myself really well and worked on it. Yeah, inside I wasn't that person as much as the outside, but I worked on the inside to help the outside. But again, because of my visualization, I already saw myself as a success. I already saw myself achieving my goals because I was setting up those simple disciplines repeated over time. So now with the six-figure income, you're going to need 300 to 500 active distributors. So let's look at the top level, 500. Okay. So this was my business plan going into NHT in 2001. So I recognized, and you can imagine, it was just Dan and I and a few other distributors launching NHT. It was all up to us to build the foundation. We had one product, no websites, no countries. It was just all us, right? So the internet was just coming on board. Long distance was still very expensive. We didn't have things like Skype. We didn't have the story that NHT has today and all the great accolades and the great success. So you just keep in mind, we didn't have the tools and everything else. This was major grunt work that we had developed, right? So my plan was to get 500 active distributors. So I knew that would guarantee me at least $10,000 a month in my business, okay? And as long as I did those simple disciplines over time that I've shared with you here in this webinar, I recognized that I needed to sponsor 10 to 15%. So this is what you need to write down. I recognized that I needed to sponsor 10 to 15%. So at the 500, I needed to sponsor 50 to 75 people. 50 to 75 people. Next step is how many exposures that I need to make in order to sponsor 75 people in the business and get on the product. And so if I was working on a 10% recruiting ratio, so in the cold market, if you're working the cold market, 10% is a good ratio. And when you work in the warm market, you should be up around 35, 40%, depending on your credibility and your background, right? So because you've already built the relationships with your warm market. So based on my plan, my goal was to get at least 10% of people in there. So to do 10% of 75, I needed to have 750 exposures. 750 exposures. So what I did is I divided that by 6 months. I thought to myself, I could do that in 6 months. So I'm working up on my calculator here. So you go 750 divided by 180. To me, that was all out massive action. That was about 4 people a day. All right. I knew I could do 4 people a day. And then I thought to myself, I wanted to do that over a year. So I even extended the 750. So my goal was to get to 900 people. And I wanted to do that over a year period. So that worked out to about 2 to 3 people a day. So starting NHT, my whole goal was to show 2 people a day in the business, either through myself, that I was personally connecting with them, or through one of my distributors that I've sponsored. So my first month, I sponsored 15 new people into the business. 15 new people into the business. After my first year, I shared the business and the product to 900 people. And out of those 900 people, I recruited 100 people into the plan. 100 into the plan. Out of those 100 people, we ended up having at least 4 to 6 great people that actually developed leadership below me, which enabled me to not only earn a 6-figure income, a lot more than that very quickly. So I stuck with that plan every single day. I stuck with the simple disciplines, repeated at a time. I worked on my emotional cue. For those of you who don't know, in 2001, we opened in Canada in June of 2001. A month later, we got closed by the authorities because the Laura was declassified. Okay, we went into Australia. Spent a month down there in Australia, August 1st. We did in Australia $500,000 in business in 1 month, and we were closed down in Australia because the Allura product was declassified as a medical product. So you imagine in a startup how many challenges that we had, how many disappointments. But I build my emotional IQ. And over the years we've had many disappointments. Again, as a leader, that's the part of me that I continued to work on. And that's a great part of our business that we have here with NH2 Global, where we've got an incredible amount of upline leaders that, if you're feeling down or whatever, get on the line with your upline leader. They'll build you up. They'll pump you up, especially with me. I'll send so much incredible energy your way. So let's just go over again. I'm digressing. The six-figure income plan. A lot of you may be scared about this, thinking, how am I going to find all those people? That's not what you need to be worried about. What you need to be focused on is, this is my goal. I'm going to set this goal. I'm going to make it happen. So the why, once you've got the why down and you believe it wholeheartedly and you build those simple disciplines, the people will come. The people will come. You want to learn more about how to reach out to a lot of people. Just go to my webinar on prospecting, under business mastery, prospecting, webinars and prospecting. I cover a lot of, and I'm going to do a webinar probably next month on some more techniques and how to build your local group and your global group and how to use the internet to attract people into your business. So let's go over this again, okay, to guarantee. So keep in mind in NHT, we've got a lot of distributors, a lot of $1 million earners that have sponsored less than 20 in NHT and they've become a multimillionaire. A great part of our plan. But what I'm telling you right now is my guaranteed way, provided you do all the other stuff, where you're going to make a six-figure income consistently here with NH2 Global. So you're going to need about 300 to 500 active distributors. There are $10,000 a month people in NHT that have 200 people in their active distributors in their group. But I'm talking about five. But again, I'm just working numbers that will guarantee you this was my thought process in 2001. 500, you recruit 10 to 15% of them, which will be about 75. You sponsor anywhere from 50 to 75 people in NHT. You're going to be, there's a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to be a great prospector. You're going to be a great people person. You're going to be an incredible leader because you've developed all these skill sets along the way. You're going to develop all this great skill sets that you're going to be able to use in all areas of your life. And you're going to do 75 people. You work on a 10 to 15% recruiting ratio. It's anywhere from 500 to 750 people that you're prospecting. Not all you need to do to decide you want to do that in a 9-month period, a year. You can do it at 18 months. I wouldn't do it more than 18 months. You want to create as much momentum in your business. You have a few other people in your team that want to go along the ride with you in this business plan. That's even better because if you duplicate that, you're going to have an incredible 2016 and 2017 and 2018. Guys, this is the end of the webinar. I'm open for questions. You can send me an email at yjoegarcia@aol.com. You can go and if you have any questions regarding this, please send me an email, and I'd be happy to respond to you. Again, please share this webinar to your whole teammates that haven't been on here. We've got some incredible events coming along. For those of you who don't know, we're officially launching in Sweden. I'm going to be there in April. I'm also going to do a run into the beautiful country of Ireland, which I'm looking forward to around that time. We've got events right around the globe, and we're building towards uh, our NHT Global big event that we have in October and August. Keep in mind, for those of you in North America, the North American promotions are going to be launching. Should have been launched here in the last few days, but you should see that here in the next week, backdated to December 28th. Thanks very much for jumping on. Have an incredible, fantastic day, guys. Great things are happening. I appreciate your time, sending you great, loving energy out there. Bye-bye.